Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How many of you woke up this morning feeling rested? Put your hands up. Not too many, but not too bad either. Talk about cellular health today. What is cellular health? Human life starts from a cell and it ends with a cell. Everything that we try to do in the field of medicine, science, neuroscience, nutrition, dietetics revolves around how accurately we can get oxygen, nutrients into the cell along with energy. What we're going to understand today are the fundamentals of sleep. Biohacking is a beautiful word, but biohacking can also confuse us into searching for shortcuts to improve our health. Unfortunately, I'm going to make that statement today. There are no shortcuts to human health, because human health is based on an entire process that starts from a cell. You can't hurry the birth of a baby. It will take roughly 9 months. That is the closest example that we can get to honoring patience when it comes to the human cell. The health of your organs, every organ in your body, depends on the health of every cell. Your immune system is based on the health of your cells. How inflamed you are, how metabolically unfit you are, or metabolically fit you are, is dependent on your cell. We have great supplements, we have epigenetics, we have everything. That's great, but the fundamentals. On my last trip to Dubai, I was having coffee with one of the architects of the Burj Khalifa. And I said to him, it must have been a really complicated project. It's fantastic what you'll have built. You know what he said? He said, it's not complicated. Once you get the fundamentals right, then creativity makes complexity simple. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, Luke, in architecture, we can be as creative as we want, but if the fundamentals are wrong, nothing works. Let's move that analogy to the human body. No matter how far science has advanced or is advancing today, on nutrition, or dietetics, or Ayurveda, meditation, yoga, whatever it is, if the fundamentals are wrong, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that. So we start the build on the foundations of cellular health first. 9 years ago, when I started my practice in integrative oncology, because I was trained in nutrition and dietetics, that was my favorite subject. I defended it. As year 2 passed, I added exercise and movement to the model. Today, 10 years later, what is at the top of my paradigm of holistic wellness and medicine is sleep and emotional wellness together. Then comes exercise and nutrition. If you're sleep deprived, you wake up with a hormonal imbalance. If you're sleep deprived, you do not crave nuts and good fats and seeds. You crave carbohydrates and sugar. If you're sleep deprived, you are emotionally unstable to handle problems, and that's why your anxiety builds up more and more. But you've slept a great night, even a complicated problem doesn't seem as such a complicated problem. When we are sleep deprived, our immune system is compromised at every level. Dr. Matt Walker, you must read his book. I love his work. He's a PhD. Why do I love his work? He speaks sense, and his experiments are not done on rats and mice alone. They're also done on human beings. So we're not waiting for research to move from rats or mice to tell us what should we do and what shouldn't we do. Biohacking starts with the first principle, understanding. Over the next couple of minutes, as simply as possible, we're going to understand non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement, and connect this with almost every health problem that can affect your DNA, your cells, inflammation, and everything else. Earlier, Dr. Mariam beautifully spoke about the upregulation and downregulation of genes. We know epigenetics revolves around the environment. We can control our genes to most instances, depending on the external environment and the internal environment within the human body. That is in our control, or we can become victims of the statistic that says, 94% of the diseases are lifestyle caused, 6 to 7 are genetic, there's nothing you can do. And we know that's untrue. There's a lot we can do to influence the external and internal environment within the human body. When we start to fall asleep, we move into NR1. We just keep it short. Your non-rapid eye movement 1. There are 3 stages. In the first stage, our brain activity starts to slow down. This is the transition between wakefulness and sleep. The body's preparing to move you into the next level. The NREM 2, or let's call it N2, the brain activity slows down further. Now we're moving into deeper sleep. What functions happen in the human body over here? Memory consolidation, learning, regeneration of neural activity, regulation of body temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, and cognitive function gets enhanced and repaired. Now we move into N3. What is N3? The deepest state, delta waves, also called SWS, slow wave sleep. This is where the magic happens. Right from detoxification, not only of the body, of the brain as well. Have you ever figured how the human brain detoxifies? We know how the human body detoxifies. Dr. Wendy just left us with an amazing presentation on heavy metal detoxification. We know about the 5 eliminatory organs in the human body: the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the colon, and the skin. You have a problem with any of these 5 organs, you are accumulating toxins in the human body. While you reach N3 of your sleep, your brain starts to shrink to almost 60%. You've heard of the lymphatic system. That's the garbage disposal system of the physical body, the human body. The glymphatic is of the brain. Because we have a blood-brain barrier, we cannot detoxify toxins from the brain through our body. As the brain starts to shrink, we start to produce a cerebrospinal fluid that literally, in layman language, think of your brain getting a bath. So all the toxins, all the buildup of proteins, everything that can further in life lead on to Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and other cognitive problems, detoxify. Now this can only happen in N3. Stay with me, we're going through a journey right now. What else happens in N3? Protein synthesis. That is why athletes, bodybuilders, elite athletes, they eat, sleep, and train. They eat, sleep, and train, repeat. Because the more they lift, the more protein they consume. The protein synthesis happens only in N3 of sleep. So we could be regular people slugging down protein shakes, but sleep deprived. And then you wonder why the protein isn't working for you. Or you wonder why you're putting on weight. Because synthesis doesn't happen because we're not in the right REM of sleep. Repair, cellular growth happens in N3. The regulation of growth hormones. That is what helps us with recovery from deadly diseases, reduces inflammation. All of this happens in N3. So when we have disturbed sleep, most of us never go through these cycles. It doesn't end. Let's continue the journey. Now, after non-REM sleep, that's non-rapid eye movement, we move into REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. It continues after the non-REM. What happens in rapid eye movement? The brain activity increases. Our body starts to paralyze so that we do not act out our dreams. Although some people do, sleepwalking, or they get up. Some people fight in their dreams. It's okay, but usually in REM, when it's working perfectly, our body starts to paralyze, so we don't act out our dreams. Now, this is where, again, cognitive function happens. Memory consolidation, learning ability. So when children are sleep deprived, they cannot focus the next day in school. It's linked with symptoms of ADHD, hyperactive behavior. There are lots of connections when you look at the human body and behavior in a holistic manner. Hormonal balance happens in the REM. Most problems today with human health revolves around a hormonal imbalance. An imbalance with estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, insulin. People say, oh, I have diabetes, Luke, it's a hormonal disease. Insulin is a hormone. Thyroxine is also a hormone, thyroid. The point is, because sleep deprivation is connected with every single chronic disease that exists. It's multifactorial disease. There could be other reasons as well, but sleep deprivation is chronic. Now, don't get worried. We can go through 1, 2, 3, 4 days of sleep deprivation, but then we need to break the cycle. If it is continuous, we suffer from the impact of sleep. So while in our modern lives, we're trying to fix all these little things, these little problems, it's only at a surface level that we're scratching, where sleep can actually do everything. And it is the natural intelligence of the human body. I work with the Masai Mara on a tribe, the Masai Mara tribe in Africa. We're doing a project on cancer and nutrition. You know what one of the Africans said to me on the last trip? We were studying circadian rhythms. He said, you know, Luke, look around in nature. There are nocturnal animals and birds, and there are animals that come out in the day. If you look at the human species, we are the only species who break the circadian rhythm to live our lives, which means we stay awake. He said, you'll never see a night animal awake in a day, and you'll never see a day animal awake at night, because we break circadian rhythms. Now, that we understand why sleep is important, and if we're having a problem, we can go into a world of complexity and look for solutions, I'm okay with that. But have you got the fundamentals right? Now let's move straight into results. Unfortunately, with sleep, you can't biohack. You may have a certain class of doctors who will put you on sleeping pills and say, hey, sleep. But we all know today that that's one of the worst things that we can do. Some patients need sleeping pills because of their high levels of anxiety, vice versa. But if we are using a sleeping pill as a shortcut, you're not actually sleeping better. If you've ever been on a sleeping pill, you realize the next day you have absolutely no energy. It literally kind of numbs you and sedates you for the rest of the day as well. Let's go into solution mode. There are 5 pillars of holistic wellness. It's based on anatomy, biology, physiology. They're not my 5 pillars, they're the pillars of the human body. Number 1, nutrition. Late night meals will interfere with your sleep. Alcohol, a lot of people say, hey, Luke, I can drink and sleep. You can drink and get drowsy, but alcohol will affect the REM cycle. What happens in the REM cycle? Cognitive, hormonal, keep playing that in your mind. Heavy meals and going straight to sleep. Think about it. In biohacking, there's also a lot of common sense because technology and science can move us away from common sense. When you eat a heavy meal, what does it break down into? Energy. Energy disrupts our circadian rhythms and our N1, N2, and N3. So if you really, really must eat a late night meal, make sure it's not a heavy carbohydrate meal. You're better off with protein and fat, which your body can utilize while you sleep. Remember, carbohydrates, energy. You don't need energy when you're preparing for sleep. Yeah, there are a lot of supplements out there. There's melatonin, used the right way. Melatonin can help you with jet lag. It's fantastic when you use it the right way. A simple biohack for melatonin, if you ever do long flights, like I usually do Mumbai, New York once a month. So when I started this travel about 8 years ago, when I landed back in India, it would take me about 2 weeks to recover. Today it takes me 24 hours because I've just gotten smarter with when to take my 5 mg of melatonin at what time. So it can be used as a hack. Everyone is different. Remember that. We have magnesium. Absolutely fantastic. Glycinate is what works for you. There is citrate and many other kinds of magnesium. But if you have sleep problems, glycinate will actually help you with vasodilation. That means your blood vessels expand, more blood flow to the brain, more oxygen, and you can sleep better. Then you have valerian root, you have chamomile, you have adaptogens like ashwagandha and several other ones. You can look at that. But again, it comes down to human behavior, nutrition. Let's move to exercise. If you are sedentary, okay, you can and may have problems to sleep. Our circadian rhythms depend on movement. So whether it's a mix, what are the best exercises you can do? This is not what I'm saying. I like to run my field of practice from not what we think is right, but what the human body needs. When it comes to exercise, what does the human body need? We may have our individual goals to, maybe have more muscle, have a six-pack, size 0 figure. That's up to you. But what does the human body need? It needs strength, which will come from strength training. Endurance and stamina. It needs flexibility, and it needs mobility, and it needs cardiovascular. So your exercise program has to be holistic. You can't just lift weights and not be flexible. Mobility is also extremely important. So fit exercise into your day, it equals better sleep. The timing is also important. If you exercise too close to your bedtime, it will impact your non-REM and your REM sleep. You'll still fall asleep because the body's fatigued, but we're aiming for deep sleep. Which brings me to the next question. How much of sleep do we need? That's the wrong question. What is the quality of sleep that we need? Some people sleep 4 hours, wake up, no need of caffeine, fantastic energies throughout the day. They were well rested, deep sleep. Some people sleep 8 to 9 hours and they're still tired. So is it the quantity of sleep that matters, or is it the quality of sleep that matters? The human average, because you teach in schools and colleges and everyone else, and everyone needs to fit into a box, is usually 7 to 8, but it differs from person to person. When you look at genes, there are certain people who carry a particular gene where they can sleep and get away with just 4 hours and function on optimum. Unless you know you have that gene, you want to really find out how much your sleep quota work is for you. We spoke about exercise. Let's come to the last pillar, which is emotional wellness. If you are stressed out, you cannot sleep. Understand this. Again, it's not because I say that. Let's get into the central nervous system of the human body. You have the sympathetic nervous system and you have the parasympathetic nervous system. You know about this, but I want you to understand it very clearly. In the sympathetic nervous system, it's the fight and flight response. Our blood pressure goes up, cholesterol goes up, blood sugar goes up, preparing us for fight and flight. Okay, in this system, our digestive systems don't work, and we are not meant to sleep or rest, obviously. Simplest example, bring a lion in this room right now. There are only 2 ways each and every one of you will react. Some of you will prepare to fight, some of you will prepare to run, and some of you will freeze. It's the sympathetic nervous system that gives you the energy to fight or to run. Once the lion's out of the room, now you realize there's no threat. So your oxygen, your breathing reduces, and you slowly move from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. Now what happens in the parasympathetic nervous system? It's also called rest and digest. All regeneration, which is body repair, lowering of inflammation, boosting of the immune system, can only happen in the parasympathetic nervous system. Unfortunately, as much as you wish, it cannot happen in the sympathetic nervous system, because that is how the body works. So rest and digest, parasympathetic nervous system. So now it's the end of your day. You're stressed out. You're thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about what your friend said, what someone else said to you. You're stressed out. You're in the wrong nervous system to sleep. You cannot sleep. You may fall asleep because you're tired. You're physically fatigued. But are you going to hit the N1, N2, N3 and the REM the way you're supposed to? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this is the importance of understanding sympathetic and parasympathetic. Now let's move into solution mode for that. How do I relax? How do I try to stay in the parasympathetic nervous system as much as I can? A lot of people say, hey, but Luke, life is stressful. I've taken on a new position. Yes, it is stressful. And the more stress you have, the more attempts you need to spend in the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the balance. It's not about getting rid of your stress. If the enemy is getting stronger, the army is also getting stronger. If stress is piling up in our life, we need to get stronger as well. So the parasympathetic nervous system, I'm going to teach you the simplest way to move from sympathetic to parasympathetic in less than a minute. Again, it's an inbuilt intelligence in the human body, the power of your breath. So right now, let's say everyone is really, really stressed out. Okay, we can't change the problem, we can't change the people. We can't close our eyes and get into a 30-minute meditation. But what we can do is control how we're breathing. So my inhale, I mindfully make my exhale longer than my inhale. So you can try this right now. Let's say my inhale is 4 seconds. My exhale is mindfully going to become 8 seconds. Maybe you won't reach 8. It's okay. You get the point. Your exhale should be longer than your inhale. Now, how does this work in science? Why? How do we move from sympathetic to parasympathetic? I see a threat. My breath starts getting shallow. That produces more cortisol, adrenaline, and hormones are communicators. That's what communicates with the rest of my hormones to prepare me for fight and flight. I can reverse that. And by slowing down my breathing, especially my exhale, I send a message to my body that, hey, there's no threat. Calm down. Calm down. Obviously, if there's a lion in the room, you wouldn't want to be doing the exercise of slowing down your breath, right? But you're in a meeting, stressful meeting, argument, you can still be in control of your breath. We don't have to be reactive. That is one of the most powerful ways to move from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So coming back to sleep. Before sleep, you're 15 minutes before sleep, you're 30 minutes before sleep. How do you utilize that time to breathe? Slow down your breathing. Some of you would like to meditate. Some of you like to do pranayama, which is breath work. Some of you would like to do alternate nostril breathing. Over the last 2 years, because a lot of our patients who are cancer, their biggest stress is about life, and so they can't sleep. A very powerful method of breathing. We've not invented it. We've just taken what we think makes sense, put it together, and ran it on a group of people around the world who I have to say have reported are sleeping way deeper, and you should try it. It really works beautifully. How many of you have heard of box breathing? Okay, how many of you do box breathing? It's okay, we hear, but action is also a very, very important word. Box breathing is very simple. Think of a box. Let's say my inhale is 4 seconds. I inhale for 4 seconds, I hold for 4 seconds, I exhale for 4 seconds, and I hold again for 4 seconds. So between the end of my exhale and the beginning of my next inhale, I hold for 4 seconds. That's a box, okay? Do it 6 to 8 times. You can take 3 seconds. As you get better, you'll slowly move to 5 and even 6 seconds, and you know your lung capacity is growing stronger. So that's great for you as well. Do about 6 to 8 counts of box breathing. Shouldn't take you more than 2 to 3 minutes, followed immediately by left nostril breathing. This is from our ancient scriptures in yoga called pranayam, where you close your right nostril and you inhale and exhale from the left nostril. Do this for about 15, 20 times. Now don't do it right now, it's gonna make you sleepy. I want you to listen to the rest of my speech. Okay, if you want, you can move to right nostril breathing if you wanna feel energized. You're ever in a boring meeting or talk, feeling like your eyes are closing? Close your left nostril and inhale and exhale from your right nostril a couple of times. That energizes you. Such is the beauty of the human body. The right energizes, the left calms you down. If you're really mindful tonight, if you're calm, not intoxicated, as you reach closer to sleep, just observe your breathing. You'll find automatically that more oxygen moves in from the left nostril. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, be very mindful, you'll see it's automatically changed, that more oxygen enters through your right nostril. This controls energy. So box breathing, 6 to 8 counts. You can be sitting back straight. If someone's bedridden, they can even lie down, remove the pillow from under their head. 6 to 8 counts of box breathing. You can do more if you want, and at least 15 to 20 inhales and exhales from the left nostril. Extremely powerful method, and then immediately lay down and close your eyes. Because it's natural, it's not gonna work the first time. Be patient for a couple of days, it's magic. What else can we do for sleep? Darkness. Create darkness in your room. If you cannot create darkness in your room, use an iPad. Has anyone ever used a weighted eye mask for you? It's an eye mask that has a little weight. You sleep like a baby. It's absolutely fantastic. If you have blackout blinds, that's great for you. But why darkness? Darkness stimulates the production of melatonin. It's as simple as that. When it's dark, we produce more melatonin. So sometimes you may be in a situation where you don't have your mask, you don't have everything. Just roll up a t-shirt, cover your eyes, and sleep. Simplicity is a luxury. Use it. We can just make our room dark automatically if we don't have that. Temperature of the room. Okay, science says anywhere between 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's anywhere between 18 to 20 degrees. Again, don't put yourself in a box. None of those temperatures work for me. If it works for you, do it. If it doesn't, do not put yourself in a box. Everyone is different. There's biohacking and there is bio-individuality. What does that mean? Every human being is different. What works for you doesn't have to work for someone else. Okay, blue blockers, absolutely fantastic. Because especially if your work isn't, if you're involved looking at your phone or your laptop screen before bed, do not use blue blockers during the day. We need blue light. Blue light's not bad, but we don't need it at nighttime. Blue light suppresses melatonin. Your circadian rhythm is extremely important. If you can go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, okay, automatically you realign your circadian rhythm. Now I want to be practical. We also want to enjoy life. So Friday, Saturday, party, do what you want, but the remainder of the week is where you start getting all of your stuff in together. You can realign your circadian rhythm. If you want more biohack, if you've been struggling with your sleep for the longest time, there's something called sleep pressure. How do you build sleep pressure? So for example, I'm gonna set my wake-up time at 5 o'clock in the morning. And no matter what time I sleep or fall asleep, I will still wake up at 5 a.m. I may be really tired, I will not take an afternoon nap, and that night I'll go to sleep again. The next morning, I will wake up at 5 a.m. again. In 2 to 3, maybe 4 or 5 max, depending how badly your circadian rhythms are affected, you will automatically build a new rhythm by building up sleep pressure. This is one of the most natural ways. Now, you'll see a lot of fear in today's world with everything that's happening in the space of health. Don't be fearful. Sleep deprivation is sometimes real. Your children are studying for exams. You may be a pilot. You may have a night shift duty. You may be in the army. You may be in the police force. It's okay, as long as we get our sleep. So you have morning larks and you have night owls. Some people, they like to stay up late. That's okay, as long as you're getting the required amount of sleep. And some people are morning larks. They like to sleep early and wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. That's absolutely okay as well, as long as your body is going through N1, N2, N3, and REM. Each cycle is about 90 minutes. As long as your body gets what it needs to finish its process. Remember, the human body doesn't care about your job, your designation, how much money you need to make, how you need to look in society. It doesn't care about that. It cares about one thing: survival. Even as you're sitting right now, every second of the day and night, your body is focused on one job. How do I keep this person alive? And that is the intelligence of the human body. These are the little things that we can do with sleep. It is so important. It is the fundamental. Now, I know our minds, the conscious mind, will immediately throw, but what a boring life. You know, how will we enjoy ourselves? Who said you still can't enjoy yourself? Who said that? You still got to get your sleep. A lot of you plan P&Ls for your company, profit and loss. Plan a sleep budget. Like for me, I know my average sleep is 8 hours, so I have a 16-hour day. I don't have a 24-hour day. I have a 16-hour day because 8 hours is mandatory for me. So which means I got to get better at time management to plan everything I want to do in 16 hours. So sometimes that little extra Netflix program may not fit in, but that's okay. We always sacrifice in life, something of lesser value for something of greater value. Sacrifice is real and it's beautiful. So before I end, we have about 3.5 minutes left. I have 3 individuals. One of them is on a list of supplements to sleep better. All good, no judgment, works for them. There's no right or wrong, just consequences. Person number 2 swears by blue blockers. Ever since he started using blue blockers, sleeps like a baby. Absolutely fantastic, and it's real for him. No problem over there. Number 3 is my longest living patient right now, a gentleman who's 102 years old. Sleeps like a baby. And you know what he says? Saying, Luke, I just say a prayer, I remember who loves me, and I have the deepest sleep. Now you choose what's going to work for you. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Does anyone have any questions? Mike, please.
Any questions, anyone? Yeah. Can we please hand a mic to her? Can we please give her a mic? Right there.
Hi, you mentioned that there are like 4 stages of sleep, that you need to go through. Is there an optimal range that you would recommend people? Because a lot of people wear Aura or maybe have Whoop, and at the end of the day, you measure your sleep and it says that your REM is this much and your deep sleep is this much. What is it that we're aiming to get, like an optimal range?
We're aiming to connect with our intuition. I never mentioned any sleep tracker in my talk. I'll tell you why. Sleep trackers are great for us, but sometimes they make us more stressed out. We have something called intuition, which we need to check in every day. We don't check in with our friends to see if we're happy. We measure our happiness based on how we feel, good. The simple way to measure your sleep is in the morning when you wake up. Number 1, do I feel rested? It doesn't mean you wake up with energy. You could be a little groggy, but do I feel rested? If your body says, no, I need to sleep more, it wasn't deep enough. Number 2, do I need caffeine to start my day? If yes, you are sleep deprived. There's nothing wrong with coffee. Oh, thanks for your question. I missed out a point. Yeah, I finished 2 minutes early, so I'm going to take that back. Coffee. You can love coffee. Make sure it's good quality coffee. Very, very important. Not the one with all the whipped cream and fructose added to it. Black coffee is absolutely great. but start it at least 120 minutes after you wake up. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally high. When you intake coffee, your cortisol levels and adrenaline also moves high. So wake up, the number one thing you want to do is connect with sunlight. Sunlight improves and resets your sleep cycles for 14 hours later. So sunlight will help you with melatonin as well. So it's a great question. Check in with yourself and you'll arrive at your average of how you sleep. But if you need 4 or 5 cups of coffee to get through your day, you know that you're running on artificial energy, a stimulant, not cellular energy. And in this beautiful country like Dubai, where a lot of women and men cover themselves up completely and walk, that's okay. You can look at the sun in the morning, but any sunlight, you can be fully clothed. What else are we getting from sunlight? Infrared. Infrared can penetrate through your clothing, through your skull, that builds subcellular melatonin that is stored in your skin for better sleep at night. So I'm a fan of intuition. I'm not a fan of devices telling us how to live our life. They're great benchmarks, but they don't decide how we live or the choices that we make. They help us.
Hope that cleared your question. One more question, yeah.
Yeah, look, first of all, thank you so much for your wonderful session. My question to you is, the common belief is that you need 7 to 8 hours of deep sleep that you talked about. But you also talked about maybe if you get deep REM sleep of 4 to 5 hours, that also really works. So could you please explain me the science behind it?
Absolutely. I don't want to leave anyone with fear in this room by putting you all in a box of 7 to 8 because it's not accurate. Today, my body may need 8 hours. Tomorrow, it may need 7, depending on many factors in the day. If I've been in long meetings, 14 to 15 to 18 patients, I'm mentally drained. My body may need more sleep tomorrow. Depending on the workout I did. Did I do big muscles today, leg and back? My body's going to need more recovery. Was I lazy today? I didn't work out. My body doesn't need the same amount of sleep. And I'll tie this in with a beautiful experiment done in World War II with soldiers in Vietnam, because obviously they were sleep deprived. 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours. But the study showed that because they were under so much of pressure, sleep pressure built up, soldiers could sleep for 3 hours and perform at optimum level under the right circumstances. But when our circumstances are wrong, because we're in clubs with LED lights flashing in our eyes, distorting our melatonin, alcohol, cigarette smoke, all of that stuff, we're not going to get the same outcome as the soldiers, right? So don't put yourself into a box. Arrive at your average. More or less, you'll figure out, I function optimally on 6, 7, 8. That can change all the time. If you meditate deeply before sleep, sometimes you'll find that you wake up earlier, because meditation is also very, very deep for the human mind. In India, in our country, and around the world, many people wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to meditate for 1 to 2 hours, and they do well on 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Now, we don't know if those people are you. You need to find out which box you fall in. But don't get stressed out about your hours changing. Again, the human body is an indicator. How are you feeling right now? Are you energetic right now? You could have emotional feelings like you're bored, or you drank too much coffee and you're already in a crash and you're looking for your next one, or you could have had a carb-heavy lunch where now you're feeling drowsy. But minusing all of that, you would automatically know how great your sleep was for you last night.